Hello, this is K.Bella Jolie with Crochet Basics, and in this episode we are going to make a crochet confetti necklace. I like this one. It's a lot of fun and it's super beginner friendly. If you can chain, you can do this one. Okay, so you do need a few supplies. I'm using Aunt Lydia's Classic 10 crochet thread, and it is rated 0 for lace. Okay, so it's super thin. You could sew with it if you needed to. All right, and I'm using a size 3 steel hook. So, but pretty much, you know, you can use the recommended, which is a size 7. It's a 1.5 millimeter, you know, a very small hook, because this is very thin thread. And beads. We need beads. We need, you can do this with seed beads, but I'm using E-beads because they're bigger, they show better, and they're easier to get onto the thread. You need 2 jump rings. So if you don't know what jump rings are, they attach to the clasp. They attach from a chain to a clasp on your jewelry. And they have all different sizes. These in the findings aisle, you know, Michael's or Hobby Lobby, whatever craft store you go to, you can get, and they have different finishes and sizes. So different sizes and finishes. I have 9 millimeter, that's what I'm using. I have a bead needle, a beading needle from Beadalone. So, which these have really like changed my life, I must say. It's so silly. I don't remember, like, I know I didn't have beading needles back in the day when I started crocheting with this thin thread and stuff and doing beading. So I must have just been sitting there like twisting the thread and trying to jab it on. All right. Measuring tape is always welcome when we're working with yarn, a scissor, and the beads. Okay, so the beads I have, they're mixed. This is one of my little bead things that I have. And these are, even though it looks like a crazy long wire, you bend it and it opens up and you stick your thread in there. And then it just makes it easier. The only thing with these is that because they're so flexible, sometimes the beads will shoot off into the air when you're trying to get it on. All right, so let's get this going. A pair of jewelry pliers or needle nose pliers will do you. Some kind of a clasp for when you finish off. And I think that is really it as far as that's going. All right, so with the beads, I usually try to get at least 100 on, because I'd rather have leftover on this, not that I use that much, but I'd rather have leftover on the string than run out of the beads. So I've been getting ready for this. So I've been sitting here putting beads on string. All right, so, but let's get this going. And where now, if you can chain, you can do this one. So this is like the most basic, but this has got to be one of the most basic projects that, but you get like big results with it, I think, you know, in my opinion. All right, so let's put that away. Get that out of my way. All right, so here, I don't know if I should zoom in or not. Sometimes people are like, oh, I can't see, and then other times people are like, it's too close, all I see is this, you know. All right, but here, this is where I fed all my beads on, so I'm just going to snip off the end of where I was feeding the beads on, because sometimes that gets a little worn. which is not, you know, not terrible. With the jump rings, you want to make sure they're sealed, they're closed. So sometimes they're slightly askew, and you don't want your yarn to slip out. So you do want to make sure that they're sealed. They also have glue for metal that'll close that up. So if if you were having a problem with that, they do have a glue. Now I usually have other pliers, but I guess I've been taking them out. Alright, so what you're going to do, this is my 3, and this is also a 3. I got 2 3s out. Susan Bates. Okay, Susan is the winner here. So what you're going to do is pick up your jump ring. Alright. Pull a loop through and leave a tail. And you're going to crochet around that tail. You know, you're going to crochet over that tail, rather, or around it when we come back. So you'll chain, and I like to do a single crochet right around the jump ring. And you can do this with different size jump rings, you know, depending on really the size, I guess. Okay, so you could do this with different size jump rings. All right, so what I'm going to do is chain. So I'm just chaining, and I'm going to feed a bead up. So 3, 4, 5, and then I'll slip a bead up. And I just rando, really. So you'll loosely, you know, crochet, and then just chain right around the bead. And then you'll keep going with this. So what you want to do, though, is you want to get a count on how many chains you actually do as you're going. And you can make this different lengths, you know. And the clasps, they have all different kinds of clasps. You find them in the findings aisles and stuff like that. And you can get them online, you know, eBay, Etsy's, Hirschner's, I think, carries. All the, you know, online websites that carry the craft supplies and stuff, and the jewelry supplies and stuff, you know. So now I did about 110 chains for my first set of chains. Really, for my first string of beads. All right. So with that, it measures about a little over 18 inches. So that's actually a pretty good length. It'll come off of your neck, you know, onto your chest. And then it'll also be a bit longer than that once once you make more chains and you add on your clasp and all of that, because they do have adjustable clasps, so if you needed to make a necklace longer. So over here, I didn't bead till the very end. I did 5 chains, and now here's my second jump ring, and I'm just going to crochet right around it, but that didn't work. What did I do? Silly. Okay, so here's my second jump ring, and I'm just gonna crochet right around it. I'm just gonna chain right onto it. Now you can try and keep this flat, like if you want the strands side by side, but it's gonna twist most likely. But the way to keep it with the strands being more separate is to, you know, only go in one direction as far as when you attach. So this is one that I did a while ago, and I wanted it to be fancier, so I used these big rings and a big clasp, because I wanted it to be, I wanted the clasp to feel like it was part of the fanciness of the chaining. So, but what I did here was I went in flat as I attached onto the ring, so that that if it, you know, you could unspiral it, you know, and have it more like strands instead of just a big twist. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I did 11 chains on this one, and that's with this big loop here. And just random with the beads. I don't know if the light's picking it up or not, the different beads. But these are the same beads, I think. But it gave a different effect. It gives a different effect with the different background. So I used the red background for this one. I have others there, so you'll see them in the picture. And then you'll just repeat. And what I like to do is to alternate. So here I did 6 chains and then a bead. So, but I want the beads to fill in. So instead of doing 6, like I'll crochet 8 chains. I'll do 8 chains and then stick a bead. And you'll just repeat this until you have as many strands of beads as you like, you know. And then from there, you'll snip off, and you'll add a clasp. You'll weave in, knot or whatever, you know, however you end off, and just add in a clasp, and then you're good to go. So I do like this one. I think it's like, you know, it's fun, and it makes a nice, it does make a nice necklace. The necklaces go with like everything, because, you know, you got the confetti beads here, you got the all different colored beads, so you can stick this with anything, any type of outfit and stuff like that. And then depending on how many strands you make, you know, it becomes kind of like, I like to think of, like they always use the word, like a statement piece, you know, like it's the pop, you know, from what you're wearing. So easy enough, I think, because it's just chaining. The only drawbacks is sometimes the thread will get knotted as you're feeding the beads up, you know, when you're working with it, it'll start to get knotted. And I think that's about it. I think that's the only, like, you know, is that sometimes the thread will get knotted. So from here I just did 8. So that bead will fall in between. And then instead of doing 8 again, I'll do another like 5 or 6 until I get to my other end, and then add a bead. But you do want to keep count as to how many chains, so that, you know, they're all around the same amount of chains, so that you don't have one ridiculously long strand or one really short strand, you know. So just something silly to keep in mind. So if you're new to me, please subscribe. Give a thumbs up if you try and make this. I like this one. It's super easy for a beginner. And then it has where you're actually doing beading, and you're, you know, doing a little bit of jewelry making, and I think like and you can style it to your style, you know, whatever your like colors are, or, you know, which if you got like an outfit you're gonna wear and stuff like that, you know. So that's why I really like, I dig this one. I think it's a lot of fun, and I like wearing them. I think they're super cute. And also, I have a tendency to buy yarn for the colors and not like a project in mind. Like, I'm terrible like that. So I have 3 of these. And this is Delph, I think it is. So I must have had something in mind when I bought it. But I usually don't use, like, I used to use this stuff all the time. I used to make chokers and all types of doll stuff for, you know, Barbie's. My sister does repaints. And so I used to do, you know, like a lot of like tiny whatever crochet and stuff like that. But now you know, I'll go through my stash every so often and I'm like, why? Why do I have so much of this? This makes no sense. What was I planning? And a good thing is, actually, if you lose count, because you're talking and trying to teach people how to do silly stuff, so if you lose count, you can always just measure it up to the first one and pull out if you have to, like I do right now, because I was talking and I lost my count. Yeah. All right, so you can lay it flat. If you want it to be more like separate strands, you can lay it flat with side by side. So this is my first row. Wait, sorry. This is my first row, and this is my second row that I'm going to attach. Okay, well, that's better. Okay, so I would lay it flat, my first row, second row, and feed it over. Well, not feed it over. You're not videoing this, so you don't need to feed it over. But lay it flat on a table, and then attach your next chain in that direction. So this is my first, this is my second, and so if I wanted it to be more, strands and not like a big twist, I would just attach it next to it. And you want to try and go over that starting chain, because that helps keep it nice and tight, and it helps you know, when you're tucking in your tails. All right, and this is a good one because this one I don't like to weave in. I actually, that's like my one thing where like I'm like, oh, you know, like I hate it. I hate weaving in. I'm one of those, you know, that it's very annoying to weave in. So, but then you would go as many strands as you want. So the one I showed you, the red one that I showed you, has 11 strands. All right, and you can see in the pictures. And then you would just, here, this is a jump ring right here, because these are the fancy rings. So this is a little tiny jump ring, and here's my clasp. And this isn't what came. This set didn't come together, but I put it together because, like I said, I wanted it to be fancy on these, you know. And I thought, like, how, like, crazy, like, you know, like, how fun to have such a nice big clasp. And this one is a dark, you can't see it, it's not going to show, but the beads are black, and then they're iridescent with blue and purples. And I don't know why my lighting is so bad today, but and this one is a thinner one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 8 strands on this one. So, but a lot of fun, I think, and super beginner friendly, you know, I think so. I think if you can chain, you can definitely do this. You know, this is my Sunshine Confetti one where I used the yellow, and I used a lot of the same colored beads here, super colorful and stuff like that. So, and then as many strands as you like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 strands. So, and this one is a lot, this one has a lot more beads, I think. So, but anyway. So finishing touches, I just wanted to show you. I did 11 chains, 11 sets of chaining. Okay, so with and I did it that way on purpose so that I would end off like I would have a tail on one side and a tail, you know, the beginning tail on one side and the beginning and the ending tail on the other side. All right, so what you would do, just to keep it nice on the jump ring, is thread the tail on a needle, you know, a small needle, and just sew your, you know, just go through the very tops where the chaining, where you hooked onto the, I'm sorry, you just go through and more or less attach them so that they, you know, they sit all together. And that's also part of weaving in on this one too, by you know, getting them all snug together so that they're nice. And with that, that'll also keep it, if you have a little space in the jump ring, if they're all attached, it'll keep it from coming apart, coming through the jump ring. Okay, so just something, you know, just for finishing touches and for finishing off and weaving in, to you know, let you know that. And then you're done. You would put this on a clasp. If you wanted to, you can put it on a regular, you know, any kind of clasp you want to, that you prefer. I like the ones that have the little chain that come down so that you can adjust if you know, want it a little longer or more snug like a choker. All right, so, and that's finishing touches. So I hope you like making this if you give it a shot, you know. Thank you so much for watching. As always, happy hooking. because it keeps you off the streets and keeps you out of trouble and making super cool jewelry. If you haven't, please subscribe. I do have other patterns that are beginner friendly, and I will be back real soon with my next tutorial. If you do make this, give it a thumbs up, comments, questions below. As always. So thank you so much for watching Crochet Basics, K. Jolie, and have a super duper great day and a wicked cool night. Have a good one. Take care. Ciao. Bye.